Good evening. I'm Bob Davidson, founder of the Davidson Institute, along with my wife, Jan Davidson, who I will ask to stand so she could be acknowledged. Thank you. Joining me on stage is Tacy Mosner, the Davidson Fellows Program Manager. We would like to all like to welcome you to this year's Davidson Fellows Awards ceremony. This is our 11th year. The Davidson Institute for Talent Development, our parent organization, is a national nonprofit that supports profoundly gifted young people across the United States. One of the ways we fulfill this mission is through the Davidson Fellows Scholarship program, which recognizes the extraordinary achievements of students under the age of 18. Tonight we will be celebrating this year's under 18 Davidson Fellows. I would like to thank our congressional co-sponsors, Senator Harry Reid from the great state of Nevada, where we reside. It's small but powerful. And Senator Chuck Grassley of the state of Iowa. I'd also like to thank the National Museum of the American Indian for allowing us to host this event here tonight in their fabulous building on the mall. When Jan and I first saw this space, we wanted to have the Fellows ceremony here since it reminded us of the wide open spaces we enjoy where we live out in Nevada. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize some of our guests tonight. First of all, Mark Johnson, president of our University of Nevada at Reno, and his wife Karen. Mark, thank you. Our great friend Annette Whittemore, who's a member on our Davidson Academy governing board in Reno. Annette, very good. We have Davidson Fellow Laureate Marcin Mejran. Marcin, are you here? There he is. Very good. Okay. And we have some friends that live very close to us, and we get to see them every now and then, and that's Roger and Bee Wittenberg. Roger, Bee, you here? Okay. Great. Tonight we're celebrating the accomplishments of one Davidson Fellow Laureate at the $50,000 scholarship level, 9 Davidson Fellows receiving $25,000 scholarships, and 8 students are receiving $10,000 scholarships. Tacy?
Hello, everyone. I'll introduce the fellows, and they'll come up and speak, and I'll introduce them in alphabetical order, and it's an honor to introduce you guys and have you come up. Arjun, you're first.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all had a great day. My name is Arjun Agarwal, and I'm a senior from Lexington, South Carolina, currently attending Lexington High School. My project is one that spans across all disciplines of technology. It's Gina 3 and Airvis, an anthropometric interactive robot with vision, intelligence, and speech. Now, the design of the project was based on the physiology of the human body. The result was the creation of Gina 3, an anthropometric biped robot with all the degrees of freedom that a human has. Now, the reason I started this project was because through my research, I found that the lack of an economically efficient and functional humanoid robots has prohibited researchers from continuing to expand the field of robotics. Now, my project, combined with an effective open source community, will go hand in hand in testing economically efficient robots. This will allow more sophisticated robotic algorithms to be written, which will in turn allow more humanoid robots to be able to do more detailed and difficult tasks. I hope to keep working on this project, expanding not only my knowledge in the field, but the field of the progress of robotics itself. And I would now like to take this opportunity to thank all the people that have made it possible for all of us to get here today. The teachers who inspired us to reach our goals. The parents that encouraged us to never give up. And of course, the Davidson Institute for allowing us to be on this platform, for recognizing our endeavors and giving us an amazing opportunity to further our education. Thank you. Thank you.
Chinar?
Hi, my name is Chinar Banerjee, and I'm a junior from Rochester, Minnesota. First of all, I'm extremely honored to be here, and I want to congratulate everyone else who has won this accomplishment. My project was a technology project called Artificial Emotion, a novel way of emotion recognition for effective computing. Currently, it remains a challenge for computers to recognize and respond to human emotions. In my project, I developed a new method for this. After removing unnecessary details from facial images by converting them to black and white sketches, I used fractal analysis to differentiate among facial expressions for various human emotions. My method has the potential to be simpler, cheaper, and more effective than existing methods. In the future, I would like to major in and pursue a career in computer science, and this scholarship will greatly help me in going to college and pursuing this dream. I want to thank all my nominators, Mr. Stan D., Dr. Khalil Bakshi, and Mr. Peter Van Sickle for all their help. I want to thank the Davidson Institute for allowing us to be here, and I also want to thank my parents for their constant help and support. Thank you.
Matthew?
Hello, my name is Matthew Barley, and I'm a homeschooled senior from Fenton, Michigan. My mathematics project title is Reformulating the Newton Direction Computation as a Linear Least Squares Problem for Smooth Overdetermined L1 Minimization Problems. When you perform a linear regression on a set of points, for example with a calculator, the calculator measures the error of the fit by squaring the vertical distances and adding them all together. The calculator then adjusts the slope and height of this line to minimize this error, and is thus named least squares. In my project, I use the L1 norm to measure the error. Instead of squaring the individual errors before adding them, the L1 norm only takes the absolute values of the individual errors. Minimizing this norm is much better than least squares when the data contains large but infrequent errors, or outliers. Since this problem is more difficult to solve than the least squares problem, a common fix is to simply use least squares and de-weight the outliers in an iterative process. This is an ad hoc process, and the convergence is problem dependent. In my project, I showed that it is possible to solve the L1 minimization problem by solving a sequence of weighted least squares problems, and convergence is guaranteed. In the future, I would like to further investigate L1 and its applications for fluid dynamics finite element methods. I plan to go to the University of Michigan to obtain a degree in mathematics and possibly mechanical engineering, and eventually I would like to get a PhD. And I plan to use the Davidson Fellows Award to help pay for tuition. I would like to thank my parents for supporting and believing in me, my mentor Mark Wick for helping me focus my ideas and first introducing me to linear algebra. I would also like to thank Bob and Jan Davidson for encouraging me through the Davidson Young Scholars and Fellows programs. Thank you.
Marion?
Hello, everyone. I'm Marion Bechtel, and I am from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The title of my science research project was a standoff seismoacoustic method for humanitarian demining. In this project, I wanted to design a new, efficient method for detecting buried landmines. Over 70 million landmines plague 36% of the world's countries, claiming one victim every 22 minutes. The statistics are pretty shocking, and the current methods used for humanitarian demining, though simple and cheap, are inefficient and dangerous. So I built a device that uses seismoacoustics, or sound waves coupled with ground vibrations, to locate buried landmines. A remote seismic source vibrates the ground, causing any buried mines to resonate, and the device then sweeps above the ground and uses two highly sensitive microphones doing real-time noise cancellation to reveal a recognizable pattern in the sound as it sweeps over a landmine, indicating its presence. Basically, you're just listening for the landmine as you sweep across it. The method is beautifully simple and inexpensive and effective even in wet soils where other methods fail. I built the prototype out of all off-the-shelf materials and an old metal detector I rescued from a dumpster. I have to admit, when I took it out for its first field test and it worked, I probably scared the neighbors with my shrieks of joy. It was kind of ridiculous. Now, granted, there is still a lot of work to be done. At this point, I would really love to begin collaborating with other scientists, because truthfully, the best science is done when you combine heads and ideas. Although I am a junior, this is actually my last year of high school. I'm applying to college a year early, and I definitely plan on working with professors on this topic and others once I get to college, with the help of this scholarship, for which I am incredibly grateful. This brings me to another point. There are so many people I want to thank for their support throughout this process. First of all, I want to thank Sean Sennett of FDW Corporation, Professor Lorenzo Capinieri of the University of Florence, and Mrs. Vasantha Katapa for acting as my nominators for this scholarship and for offering their support and advice as I did my research. I also want to thank and credit EnviroScan Incorporated for allowing me to use their outdoor sand test bed in my tests and seismic equipment. And of course, I want to thank my family, especially my parents, for their endless support of everything I do. Not to mention their extra hands for pressing buttons in the field. They really are the best family I could ask for, and I would quite literally not be here without them. Finally, I think I speak for all the other fellows as well when I say that I am so honored to have been named a Davidson Fellow, and I can't thank the Davidsons enough for their generosity in helping me and the other fellows pursue a higher education. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations to the other fellows.
Rebecca?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Chen. I'm a senior at Park Tudor School in Indianapolis. I did a mathematics project called Generalized Young-Baxter Equations and Braiding Quantum Gates. So basically, the Young-Baxter equation is a systematic way to find useful representations of the braid group, and the generalized form of the equation can often be used to do the same thing. My project classified 3 families of new solutions to the generalized Young-Baxter equation, and I also showed that these solutions are very useful because the representations that they afford can be used to generate the braiding quantum gates that are needed to build a quantum computer. And I must admit, this project has been very difficult, but also very rewarding. In particular, I'm thrilled to be a Davidson Fellow. This scholarship will help me pursue my dream of studying computer science in college and beyond. Of course, I could not have gotten here without the help of a lot of people. In particular, I would like to thank my project mentor, Professor Eric Rowell, and my computer science teacher and nominator, Mr. Ryan Ritz, who has just been incredibly supportive of all of my interest in math and science. Also, my professional nominator, Dr. Feng Luo, and the Davidson Institute, of course, for their generosity, and my parents, who are here to share my achievement, but more importantly, are always there to encourage me through all of my setbacks and mistakes. Thank you.
Benjamin?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin Clark, and I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm currently a freshman at the California Institute of Technology, where I'm planning to major in physics or astrophysics. Now, I have to say, the past 2 days have been fantastic. Getting to know my fellow fellows has been really great. They're such a great group of people. Thank you to the Davidson Institute for giving me the opportunity to be here and to meet them and to participate in the activities that were here today. So now the project that got me here is entitled The Close Binary Fraction, a Bayesian analysis of SDSS M-Dor spectra. Okay, now as what that means in plain English, so now in our solar system, there's just one star, our sun. However, in about half of all star systems, there's actually 2 or more stars, which are known as binary star systems. And so now what I did in my project was I used data from a survey called the Sloan Digital Sky Survey to determine how common these binary systems are. And this is important as it can be used to test star formation theories, which is one of the major open questions in astrophysics today. So now, of course, as some of the other fellows have said, I just could not be here without the support of so many people. First and foremost are my parents. Their influence, I don't know how to describe just one part of it. They've shaped who I am as a person, and they've always been there for me. Thank you so much to them. Also, my mentor, Dr. Colin Blake of Princeton University, has been a fantastic guide for me throughout this project. Without him, I would have had no idea where to even start on this at all. Yes, thank you. And finally, the administrators and teachers of my high school, 2 of whom are here today, my principal, Philip Gale, and my teacher, Miss Angela Stiklaitis, they've been so flexible with me the past 2 years with my schedule. And I mean, if it wasn't for them, I never could have completed this project in time. So thank you very much to them. Yes, thank you so much. So.
Siddhartha?
Hello, my name is Siddhartha Jenna, and I'm a senior at the International Academy in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. I would first and foremost like to thank the Davidson Institute for Talent Development for all that they have done, not only for me, but also for the hundreds of students like me with passions for science, mathematics, the arts, and above all, giving back to their society. It is programs like these that nurture young minds and allow us to achieve our full potential. And for this, I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Davidson, Ms. Mosner, and the rest of the staff at the Davidson Institute. I've always had a strong interest in math and science, and it is this that led me to pursue the medicine and health science project that I presented in my Davidson portfolio, erythrocyte dysfunction and amelioration in hypercholesterolemic conditions, in which I address one of the most pressing concerns in health today, elevated cholesterol levels, which lead to cardiovascular disorders, claiming roughly 650,000 lives every year right here in the United States. In my research, I discovered for the first time that there exists an immediate detriment to the water and gas transport capabilities of erythrocytes, or red blood cells, in the presence of elevated cholesterol, and identified the pathway that leads to this problem. This heralds a change in how we view cholesterol-induced cardiovascular disease as not only a long-term illness, but also an immediate detriment. I also found a possible method of safely ameliorating these detriments caused to red blood cell and consequently to overall cardiovascular function that I hope can be applied in the future to lessen these cases of cardiovascular disease. I'm enthusiastic to carry on my love for science into my undergraduate studies next fall, and I plan to use my Davidson scholarship to help me pursue a dual major in biology and chemistry, 2 of my great passions. I dream of continuing to do scientific research at the university level and to address important questions that, if answered, could help to alleviate the human condition. It is an honor that my work on high cholesterol and cardiovascular function has earned me the Davidson Fellow Scholarship. However, I do not credit just knowledge for my success. I believe that knowledge in science is merely a road that leads to discovery. It is curiosity, resilience, and a true passion for one's work that contribute to scientific progress. I'm thankful for all the opportunities, guidance, and advice that I have received from both my parents and teachers, including my mentor, Dr. Jin-Sook Lee at Wayne State University in Detroit, to whom I'm eternally grateful for her help and guidance. I've been coached and inspired by my teachers, my parents, and my mentors from kindergarten up to where I am now in high school. They taught me the importance of pursuing excellence and refused to accept anything less. Today, I thank them all from the bottom of my heart. And once again, I would like to thank the Davidson Institute for this recognition.
Ariana?
I'm extremely honored to have received this prestigious award, and I would like to thank the Davidson organization for including me in this roster of unbelievable talent. I know that this honor will open many doors for me, as it already has. Mommy, Daddy, Muriel, I would like to thank you for all of your love and support and for always being there for me. And I would also like to express my greatest love to my grandfather, Dr. Abello. His love for music has inspired me to continue and pursue my dream in becoming a world-class pianist. To the rest of my family and friends, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you too to my teacher and mentor, Mr. Gerardo Tessinier, for all the help he has given me in developing my musicianship, technical abilities, and most importantly, in becoming the musician that I am today. My project is titled Celebration of Life Through the Piano, and this project is actually twofold. First, I celebrate the lives of the great composers who lived centuries ago by bringing them back to life through the printed score. Second, music is my language. I breathe it, I speak it, I play it. Music is constantly playing in my head 24/7, and I can't imagine what I would do without it. I'd like to share my passion for great music and speak directly into the hearts of the audience members, as well as reach out to other nations and give them a reason to celebrate life. I hope to make a difference in people's lives by taking my audience away from their daily stresses and into that special world where sense of time and space are transformed, even if only for a brief moment. Whenever I play a piece on the piano, this feeling of great joy overcomes me, which I can't even explain. And it's not a joy which one gets when receiving an A on a test or winning a sports tournament. Through the piano, I would like to infect people with this joy and show them that with music, life really is good. Mr. and Mrs. Davidson, thank you so much for all of your kindness and generosity. This scholarship will certainly help me with my studies and help me achieve my dream of becoming a world-class musician. I will certainly continue to do my best to make a positive difference in this world. Thank you.
Jay?
All right, so the name is Jay Krishnan. I hail from Manpack, New York, and the status is I'm currently a freshman in a 7-year accelerated medical program affiliated with the Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute and Albany Medical College. For the past 3 years, I've been working on a project in the field of bioinformatics entitled Regulatory Signatures in Drugs Inferred from Gene Expression Data. So essentially, what my project focused on was answering two fundamental yet very critical questions. One, why different types of cancers are formed, and number two, what drugs or concoction of drugs can potentially reverse aberrant expression when these different types of cancers are induced. I knew since the inception of my project that the answer to question number one rested on the identification of proteins. And by proteins, I mean more specifically transcription factors, protein subnetworks, and kinases. So after 3 meticulous years of work, I devised a unique methodology which involved several computational programs and mathematical models to identify regulatory, dysregulatory, dysregulated proteins for 60 different cancer cell lines, and also to find a unique way to identify potent drugs for each of these cancer cell lines based on their dysregulation. In the future, I plan to do wet lab verification on these drugs that I predict, and perhaps in a few years we can put maybe one of those concoction of drugs on the market. I am very honored and extremely humbled to be a Davidson Fellow, and I plan to use this money to fund my education. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Davidson Institute, and more specifically Mr. and Mrs. Davidson. Additionally, I would like to thank my principal investigator from the Mount Sinai School of Medicine, Dr. Avi Mayan, my adult sponsor from my high school, Mr. Mark Langella, and my external mentors, Dr. Das from Yeshiva University and Dr. Aristotle from IBM. Lastly, but most importantly, I would like to thank the best parents in the world, Mr. and Mrs. Krishnan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Caleb?
Good evening. I'm Caleb Kumar. The title of my project was Designing a Java Program to Diagnose Bladder Cancer. By first identifying indicated bladder cancer characteristics, I programmed feature detection algorithms which quantitatively examined bladder cell images. And then finally, I engineered a Java neural network that then looked at the cells and determined if they were cancerous or normal based on their shape, color, and curvature. My software is accurate, quick, and inexpensive compared to current methods, and has the potential to provide faster, cheaper, and more precise diagnoses of bladder cancer, leading to faster treatment. I'd like to thank the Davidson Fellow Program, because it is such a wonderful program that provides young students with the inspiration to do great things in the future. This award has been invaluable in inspiring me to strive not only for success, but true excellence. I'm grateful to Ms. Fruin, the head of the science department of my school, and my nominator. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Rhonda McGlennon, the medical director of the company where I worked at. And finally, I'd like to thank my parents for their continuous support. I'm truly honored to be a Davidson Fellow. Thank you.
Bonnie?
Hello all, my name is Bonnie Nortz, and I'm from a town called Fairport in upstate New York. I submitted a project in literature, which means I created a 74-page portfolio of original poetry, fiction, and nonfiction. The title of my work is Run and Run and Run, which comes from a short poem of mine that explains the purpose of this manuscript. The poem goes, I love the days when I can run and run and run and remember the world. My goal in this project was to teach others how to run and run and run as I have, how to go through life with this everlasting energy and curiosity in order to better appreciate the fantastic emotional and intellectual complexity that comprises our human existence. And then, with this energy and curiosity, we can reach the second goal of my portfolio, which was to discover the extraordinary within the mundane, the pure within the imperfect, to find that moment of awakening when everything is just the way it should be, to remember the world as it should be. As for the future, I definitely want to keep literature and writing as a part of my life and possibly as a part of my career. I'm currently a freshman at the University of Rochester, and I'm considering majoring in English or mathematics or linguistics, or maybe some combination of the above. Before I go, I'd like to thank a few people for their help in this project. First, Bob and Jan Davidson, and everyone who helped coordinate the scholarship for providing such incredible opportunities for young people like us. Next, my parents, for suggesting that I enter the competition and for encouraging me on every step of the way. I would also like to thank two of my nominators, Sarah Freely and Heather Jones, for their gracious support and help in editing my prose. And last but certainly not least, my mentor, Trisha Asklar, whose comments, critiques, prompts, and suggestions were absolutely invaluable to my work on this portfolio. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Sunil.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sunil Pai, and I've recently graduated from the Kincaid School in Houston, Texas. I currently am a freshman at Stanford University. For my Davidson Fellows Science project, a novel, inexpensive nanotechnology-based approach to determine quantum energies of superoxide, I developed a new approach to measure electron transfer properties of molecules. 3 years ago, I designed and constructed an inexpensive voltammetry system for high school projects, which could be built for less than 10% of the cost of a commercial instrument. I subsequently increased the sensitivity of the instrument by modifying the electrodes with carbon nanotubes, and then used it to measure electron transfer properties of oxygen molecules in solution at temperatures ranging from 77 to 277 degrees Fahrenheit. Historically, such measurements have been done in the gas phase, which is much more expensive and much less informative. Using this new approach, I was able to identify additional quantum properties of the oxygen anion, which is a molecule vital to life. In the future, I hope to use my knowledge of electrochemistry to pursue neuroscience and cancer diagnosis as possible applications for my device. I will continue my research in biomedical engineering, as I hope to enroll in an MD-PhD program after college, because I not only want to do medical practice, but I also want to pursue research entrepreneurship in order to impact the world in a novel way. I would not have been able to achieve all this without the help of my science research teachers, particularly Dr. Clay Anderson, my mentor, Dr. Edward Chen, and of course my parents. All of them helped me develop my passion and have supported me throughout my journey in science research throughout high school. Finally, thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Davidson, the organizers, and I really congratulate all of you fellows. It was nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Simone.
Hi, I am Simone Porter. I'm an aspiring violinist from Seattle, Washington, though I now study at the Colburn Academy in Los Angeles. I am honored to be included amongst this incredible gathering of empowered young citizens. You all astound me with your brilliance. My project, Performance as Soundtrack of Process and Identity, which was submitted in the music category, consisted of 4 professional violin performances that I gave over the span of 1 year. I examined the process of preparing for these performances from the perspective of the growth I experienced with regard to developing technique and interpretation, as well as the development of my professional identity. I view each performance as a soundtrack that bears traces of this process. Ultimately, the process of preparing for a professional career involved an engagement with broader values of life orientations. I have been blessed with support and guidance from 2 magnificent role models. First is my former teacher, Ms. Margaret Presley, whose attention to me, both as a person and a violinist, instilled in me the confidence to go after my dreams. Second is my current and beloved teacher, Mr. Robert Lipsett, whose brilliant pedagogy and constant support have brought me to a place where my dreams are attainable. At his suggestion, we are currently looking to use the Davidson Scholarship to purchase an artist-level bow, which is a piece of equipment integral to my development. As Mr. Lipsett says, the right bow can produce magic, especially when paired with the 1742 Camillus Camilli violin, generously loaned to me by the Mandel Collection of Southern California. My gratitude towards the Davidson for your spirit of generosity and your vision is beyond expression. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you.
Anirudh?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my congratulations to the other winners. My name is Anirudh Prabhu, and I am from West Lafayette, Indiana, where I've lived for about 94% of my life. I did my project in mathematics on odd perfect numbers. An example of a perfect number is 6 because it's the sum of its proper divisors, namely 1, 2, and 3. The quest for odd perfect numbers, which are perfect numbers that are odd, has lasted for the last 400 years, and it is regarded as one of the oldest unsolved problems in mathematics. I derived the first non-trivial analytic lower bound for odd perfect numbers. My paper reporting this result has just been recently published. That's all wonderful, but why, you may ask, should anyone care about these odd perfect numbers? Well, when you log into a secure website or pay bills online, data encryption algorithms running in the background are protecting your valuable, sensitive information such as password and credit card numbers. One of the most widely used data encryption schemes, namely RSA, is based on results that originated in Fermat's work on odd perfect numbers. So in a sense, every time you give out credit card information online, you can rest easy knowing that results that stemmed from odd perfect number research are working to protect your confidential data. And hopefully my work on odd perfect number research will also advance data encryption technology. So what are my future plans? Niels Bohr said, prediction is very difficult, especially if it's about the future. Therefore, I will try to predict the future. I hope to pursue a research career in physics and math. I'm very honored to have been named a Davidson Fellow. First, I would like to thank Bob and Jan Davidson, without whose vision we would not be assembled here tonight. Next, I want to thank the judges for this recognition and Ms. Mosner for all that she does to help both the applicants and the fellows. I want to thank my teachers, Mr. Watson and Dr. Ofterhide, for nominating me, my parents for introducing me to math and physics, and my assistant principal, Mr. Walbaum, for being here tonight. Finally, I'd like to thank my older sister, Mihika. Competing with her has pushed me to strive for success. I wish she were here tonight, but she's neck deep in her problem sets at MIT as I speak. So thank you all for listening, and I hope you really enjoy the reception.
Shalini?
Hello, my name is Shalini Ramadan, and I'm from Richland, Washington. I graduated from Hanford High School and am currently a freshman at Brown University. The title of my project is Inhibition of Vascular Cell Migration by bis-D-methoxycurcumin. It's a bioinformatics-based approach to identify target genes. Cardiovascular disease is currently the #1 cause of death in the United States. When there's an injury to the blood vessel, growth factors, such as the platelet-derived growth factor, are released, and these growth factors signal smooth muscle cells to migrate towards the site of the injury. But the problem occurs when these smooth muscle cells continue to duplicate and proliferate, resulting in the blockage of blood vessels, leading to heart attacks or strokes. I worked with bis-D-methoxycurcumin, a natural, non-toxic dietary component of the spice turmeric. Bis-D-methoxycurcumin reduced the migration of these smooth muscle cells. I then used bioinformatics to identify target genes connected with cell migration and its signaling pathways. I would really like to thank the Davidson Institute, Bob and Jan Davidson, for the honor of being named as a Davidson Fellow. I am humbled to be amongst my fellow recipients for this prestigious award. The scholarship money will be used to pay for my education at Brown University. I would also like to thank my mentors, Dr. Srijay Nair, Mrs. Banu Gopalan, and my dad, Dr. Ramanan Pudhakode, for their continuous support. I would also like to thank my family for all their love and support. I would not have been able to reach these accomplishments without their encouragement. And a special thanks to my principal, Mr. Ken Gosney, and my counselor, Mrs. Debbie Bell, who came here all the way from Washington State, as well as my relatives from Philadelphia and India. And last but not least, I would like to thank Mrs. Mosner for all her help coordinating and arranging this wonderful event. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Raja?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raja Selvakumar, and I'm currently a junior at Milton High School in Atlanta, Georgia. And I can't express what an honor it is to be here today, standing before all of you all as a Davidson Fellow, and being amongst these fellows and very bright students here today. My project was a science project entitled The Gastromicrobial Fuel Cell, and it was a novel way to see how taking electricity from stomach bacteria can be used in capsular nanorobotics. So one of the primary problems in our society today is gastrointestinal diseases, and these affect roughly 3/8 of all Americans on an annual basis. And that equates to millions and millions of Americans suffering year in and year out from these gastrointestinal diseases. The main problem is with the surgical procedures we have today by surgeons operating from the outside inwards. They're unable to access the specific problems inside the intestinal tract. So that's where these nanorobots are a proposed system to involve surgery from the inside outwards, and they can better treat the intestinal diseases than the alternative we have today. But the main problem with that is that they don't have a sufficient power source, and with using the lithium-ion batteries that they do, it's not feasible, and it's very dangerous to use in the human body. So that's where I proposed using gastromicrobes, or stomach bacteria, as my source of electricity for these nanobots, because it'd be a continual supply of electricity coming from the stomach, and it'd be a very safe and cleaner way to generate electricity for that purpose. And this was conducted in my sophomore year, and currently I'm planning to further my research in that. I have proven that the microbial fuel cell can generate roughly 700 millivolts of electricity, which is very high for bacterial standards. And now I'm working on shrinking the fuel cell. And this Davidson Fellow Scholarship definitely sends me a long way to my future goals and dreams beyond high school and going into college as well. I want to be able to go to MIT and earn a degree in mechanical engineering, where I can continue my love for science and passion for research and knowledge as well. So there are many people to thank today. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Mr. Bob and Ms. Jan Davidson for all the support that you have and the opportunity that you give us students so that we can take it one step farther into our future lives. And I'd like to thank my nominators as well, Ms. Anita Mallappa and Dr. Shanti Srinivasan, for their support in providing their lab at Emory University outside of their regular work. And they've been very helpful, very kind to me. And as well, my teacher, Miss Carol Higgins, for staying with me after school and helping me with chemical concepts that sometimes I did not understand. And as well, my principal, Mr. Clifford Jones, for his support of the science and knowledge as well. And finally, last but not least, my parents, the greatest parents a child could have. So I thank you.
Lucy?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucy Wong. I'm a senior at Garnet Valley High School in Glen Mills, Pennsylvania. It is such an honor to be a Davidson Fellow. I still can't believe I'm here. The research I conducted was on a very difficult topic to discuss: depression. Untreated depression is the #1 cause of suicide, the 3rd leading cause of death among teenagers. I think we all know of someone who has committed suicide. I would like you to all think about something. Did his or her suicide come as a surprise to you? You'd think that depression would be obvious, but unfortunately, teenagers can put on a brave face and hide it so well. Even the people closest to a person suffering from depression may not be aware of it until it is too late. Depression is 100% treatable, but treatment is no use if a person is never diagnosed. For these reasons, I was motivated to create a model to predict adolescent depression. I utilized the CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Survey, which had surveyed over 12,000 high school students regarding health risks such as smoking, drug use, bullying, etc. The model I created had an overall correct classification of 84% in predicting whether or not a person is depressed. I realized that depression is not black and white, and that my model will not always be correct. However, it can provide an indication that a parent's child or someone's friend is at risk of depression, and this is most definitely worth the possibility of saving someone's life. In the near future, I would like to distribute my model to psychologists as a tool for initiating the intervention in hopes of preventing the loss of more lives. I couldn't have done this without several people. I would like to thank my parents for their unconditional support and for motivating me to excel. I would also like to thank my mentors, Dr. Gong Shu and Dr. Scott McClintock, and my high school biology teacher, Mrs. Brenda Frost, for their time and encouragement. I value your opinion immensely. Last, but most definitely not least, I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Davidson. Thank you so much for your generosity. What you have done is novel, and you are truly an inspiration. By believing in young people and giving them the opportunity to excel at their talents, the Davidson Institution has made me feel like I've done something special. For this, I could not be more grateful. It is a tremendous honor to be named a Davidson Fellow. I wish my fellow Davidson scholars the best of luck in their future endeavors, and I hope that the Davidson Institution continues to inspire young people like us for years to come. Thank you.
Raylan.
Good evening. My name is Raylan Yant. I'm 16 years old, and I'm a senior at the International High School of San Francisco. My project, which falls under the category Music, Other Instrumentalist, is entitled The Second Silk Road, Bridging East and West Through Chinese Music. I submitted a portfolio of pieces played on the yangqin, a Chinese instrument also called the Chinese hammered dulcimer. The portfolio describes how my musical journey as a young musician has become a part of the modern cultural exchange occurring between China and the Western world. My performances attempt to instill in people a curiosity and passion not only for Chinese music, but for world music as a whole. I hope that such cross-cultural work will also help catalyze the growing connection between East and West and inspire people to love all music. This submission represents my overall work as a young American yangqin player, but it also represents the efforts of my parents, teachers, and schools. I would like to thank my parents because this project was inspired by the bicultural background they provided for me. I would also like to thank Chinese American International School, where my musical journey started, and that's also where I met my wonderful mentor, Miss Susan Kennedy, as well as my amazing yangqin instructors, the sisters Miss Gangqin Zhao and Miss Yangqin Zhao from the ensemble Melody of China. I'd also like to thank International High School, where I go now, and my teachers there, the very worldly Mr. David Williamson and Miss Loretta Duncan. Most importantly, thank you to the Davidson Institute, specifically Miss Jan and Mr. Bob Davidson, for this incredible honor. Being included in this group of impossibly talented teenagers is to the boy who plays the weird instrument nobody can remember the name of, an extremely humbling and fantastically mind-boggling experience. Thank you to the Davidson Institute for having an other instrumentalist category, for encouraging me to keep going, and for telling me that what my teachers, my parents, my schools, and I are doing is significant in today's world.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to all the Davidson Fellows of 2011. We're very proud of you. As you move forward through your education and your careers, we know you will continue to make a positive difference. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all of the teachers, mentors, and nominators here tonight, as well as the families of our fellows. Thank you for everything you've done to support these young people. We are thrilled to recognize these fellows not only for their incredible projects, but also for the journey they forged to reach this point. Every year, we are amazed by the breadth and depth of the fellows' accomplishments. With nurturing, gifted students will be among those who will solve the world's most vexing problems. Thank you again for sharing this special evening with us. Good night.